Chris here with Tenways' latest e-bike from them. This is called the Go C600. This has 27.5-inch rims on it and a carbon drive belt, so it doesn't use a chain. There are no gears with this particular model, and it means that it's really maintenance free. Now, the claimed range of this particular e-bike is 70 kilometers up to 130, and I'll be covering that with some range tests. It has a rear hub motor that does output 250 watts, 40 Newton meters of torque, and using a torque sensor, so it is very, very smooth. So in this review, I'll be covering it in depth. I'll do some road tests and let you know just what you can expect. Inside the box of the Go 600, you will find that it is packed up really nicely, and we do have to do a bit of light assembly. So I had to install the front tire, take off all the wrap, insert the seat post, and then install the pedals. There's not much to it. It'll only take you about 15 minutes or so. Included with the Go 600, we have a 36 watt 3 amp charger. Now, charge time on this bike is excellent. It's only 2.5 hours to charge the 7 amp hour battery. And I'll let you know about the range that I'm able to get out of this bike later on in this review, of course. Now, I really do like the look of this bike here, and it comes with some proper sized wheels. They are 27.5-inch ones. The bike uses CST branded tires. Now, these are the 700 by 38 C ones if you're interested. Note that around the edges of this, on the sidewall, it does actually have a reflective strip, which is great for safety. So this bike uses 160mm discs. They are hydraulic ones, both front and rear. These are Spark branded ones, not a brand I've heard of before, and the performance of them isn't too bad, and I will do a test of them later on in this in-depth review. As expected for the price point, this has an alloy frame, and the rims, they are alloy. There is a quick release mechanism for the front wheel, but not for the back. However, the back wheel does have a quick release plug here for the motor. So that's just for maintenance. If you were to change, of course, say the inner tube of the rear tire, you can simply unplug that motor. Now, here's where this bike gets really interesting. One of the best parts about it, as I mentioned at the start, that this uses a belt. Now, this is a Gates branded belt that is rated for 30,000 kilometers. It doesn't need any oil. It doesn't make any noise. It is really smooth, really reliable, and I just think for some people this is a lot better if you're just looking for the single speed, of course, and just zero maintenance with this. So at the rear we have 22 teeth, then at the front 60 teeth. This is a Gates carbon drive here for our crank. The Tenways bike here does come with some pedals in the box if you didn't happen to have your own, but I'm a little bit fussy when it comes to pedals, and I decided to put my own pedals on this one. It just gives me a little bit more grip. We have an LED headlight here with a reflector below it. It's not particularly bright, this light. You can of course use your own lights, which I do recommend for improved safety. The front headlight, that is powered off the internal battery. The rear tail light that we have that was included in the box, this one is rather basic. It's not super bright, and you do have to charge that one separately. So our handlebar here has some lock grips on it, which is great. They are not going anywhere. The position of the brakes, hydraulic as I mentioned before, very good. And then we have our computer here that is on the left. So powering it on, you just need to hold the button down for 4 seconds. There is a password here, so it's password protected before anyone can get into this and even use the motor, which is great. Now you can change this password. There will be an application coming out for this particular bike too. So by default, it's just 4 zeros. Once you get into it, you've got our speed right here, your distance, your trip meter right here, the different levels of the pedal assistance. So that's 1, 2, and 3, and I'll get a little bit more onto that. So the maximum output is 250 watts, 40 Newton meters. Our battery level remaining at the top, and if you cycle here on this side, you can go into the average speed, max speed, our trip right there, range, and total. The seat that is included, I do find it comfortable enough. I mean, I'm used to mountain bike seats, but some people may want to swap this out for a thicker padded, maybe wider seat if you're going to be riding a lot. But for me, it's perfectly fine. It is of course height adjustable, so you can lower it right down and raise it up into the highest position right now, as you can see. So for my 186 centimeters of height, I find this fine, this frame. Now they will be selling this in 2 frame sizes, for medium and tall sized people. So the frame and the build of it, the welds, everything really good. It looks very strong around here where it's needed the most. So the battery's located within this part of the tube here of the frame. That's the only area they can fit it in. Right here there is a dust weatherproof cap that's over the top of where the charging port is. The charge time is 2.5 hours, and down the bottom we have a bit of a plastic cap here. That's the only thing that really gives it away that it is an e-bike. It really doesn't look like one, and that's one of the things I really like about this bike. It barely looks like an e-bike. Now talking a little bit about the ride comfort here, that this one, at my height, 186 centimeters tall, no problems. I got plenty of space for my knees. Even when turning, there's no way that my knees are going to strike the handlebars here unless I did some super sharp turn, but even then I doubt that that's really going to happen. So a lot of space there. Just the overall geometry of this frame I do find to be comfortable. It would be nice if I could raise maybe the handlebar up a little bit, but I don't have that option there. So the drivetrain on this one, the fact that it has a torque sensor, the carbon belt is very, very smooth. So as soon as I put it onto one here, it's effortless. And the motor barely makes any noise whatsoever. It is just so smooth. Very, very nice the way it delivers that power. When you stop pedaling, it cuts out straight away. It only gives you that assistance when you need it, that little boost when it detects that using that torque sensor. Now to test out our climbing performance. So this is an area I like to do my climb test with. Now this has a, well, I think around about 30-degree gradient, 25 to 30 degrees, and it's a good test of just how this is going to perform. Level 1 pedaling, I'm having to put a little bit of effort in, but it's still going up all right. Now I do weigh approximately 80 kilos at the moment, so now I can feel, yes, as it gets a little steeper, I'm having to work a little bit more. So I'll try level 2 now. Remember, there are no gears on this bike. That's one of the cons. And often I go down here to change the gears because I'm so used to that with the other bikes in my mountain bike. Level 2, bit of work. Almost feel like I do need to now stand up a little bit to get up here. And now level 3. Okay, there we go. So the more effort I seem to put in, the more it's giving back to me with that torque sensor. And it's actually doing really well for this climb. And again, the motor is really not that loud. You can just hear it, but it's one of the quieter ones. So now what I'll do is test out these brakes. Now I have bedded them in. They've done 50 kilometers now. Hydraulics are definitely a lot better than mechanical disc brakes. So once I get to this post right here, 1, 2, 3, does take quite a bit to stop it. Stopping distance could be a little bit better. I feel the pads they've used, while they're okay, they could have gone with ones that just bite a little bit more into those 160mm discs there. Okay, so I've made it to the end of Las Rodas here, Denia. This is in the mid coast of Spain. Very, very smooth ride. I love the torque delivery. And this is a very fast bike compared to the mountain bike that I'm used to. Now I didn't do any off-roading because these tires, this kind of bike is designed for road and city, so there's no point in me doing a rough off-road test. Really enjoying it so far. Very nice looking bike, and it just rides so well, so smooth, plenty of power. With the 27.5-inch wheels, just makes it so much easier than those other bikes I'm reviewing with only 20-inch wheels, which are a little on the small side. It's a much better ratio here for the climbing. So that's a level 1. Level 2, I can go even faster, but once I go over 25, 26 kilometers per hour, the motor does smoothly cut out. It's a very good power delivery, and if you do give it some, I find you can get up to reasonable top speeds as long as you're on flat roads, of course. So you can see here I have done now 70 kilometers on this bike, and it has been really enjoyable. The drivetrain is so smooth. The power it delivers is very, very nice. That pedal assist system with the torque sensor, really smooth, and the carbon belt from Gates just really make this ride. Alright, so all up, this is a very good bike. I have really enjoyed my time using it. Great build quality. It's very sleek. It doesn't even really look like an e-bike, and only weighs that 15 kilos, which is excellent. Now the motor is one of the best things about it, and the torque sensor, very, very good pedal assist from this, the 3 different levels, and the way it detects when you're pedaling and just gives you that power that you need. Now some very steep climbs, you really have to put a bit of effort into it if it is very steep and you are heavy and you're a tall person. So there's no gears on this model here. That is one of the cons. However, with the carbon belt that it has on this from Gates, that means zero maintenance, no oiling, no noisy chain, no having to worry about if you change the gears, the derailleur not lining up correctly and running into problems there. You have none of that whatsoever. For a city commuting bike, if you don't have a lot of climbs, this is really good. Now the range I've been able to get out of this is 55 kilometers, and that did involve 3 very large climbs, and I think that's not too bad considering I do weigh 80 kilos. Now the computer's one other little con here, that it's very hard to see the screen because it's so small. It's not too bad in direct sunlight, but I do wish it was a little bit larger, that we could safely see it looking down, see your speed, your battery levels, and your stats there. So overall, it's a great bike, and it is cheaper than the competitors out there if you're in the market for one of these e-bikes that only has a single speed, and it will be in the long run, I think, a very low maintenance e-bike. So thank you so much for watching this review, and I do hope to see you in the next one. Bye for now.